Hi, my name is Rishav. I'm a rising junior at Weston High School, and this is my project. It's the RC Hovercraft. This is my second and final milestone for the main project, and here's how it works. So that was the demo of how it works, and this is how all of that happens. In the back here, you can see all of the electronics hooked up. It's a bit of a mess, but it works, and that's the most important thing. What we have is the lift motor, which is centered right there in the hovercraft, facing downwards, is then hooked up to this first Easy Run ESC. An ESC is an electronic speed controller, which allows you to effectively control the motors with the receiver. That there is then hooked up to the battery, the LiPo battery, which is in the front of the hovercraft, while also being hooked up to the receiver, which obviously receives a signal from the transmitter. The thrust motor is hooked up the same way, except if you notice here, you'll see the thrust motor is also on top of a servo, and that allows for steering with the thrust motor to allow more maneuverability. To get to this milestone was a pretty frustrating process. It was a lot shorter time period in between the first milestone and this than it was since the beginning in the first milestone. But I really had a lot of work with both parts of the project in the early parts, and only recently really got into this. It got a lot easier because in the first few weeks I got time to spend researching and understanding how all this works, so once my parts arrived, I was able to hook them up and really get going. One of the biggest challenges I had was one day I actually noticed that the soldering on one of my connectors wasn't so great, and the connection actually wasn't complete, so I wasn't actually getting much voltage to this to the thrust motor. That was thankfully a fairly easy fix, even though soldering the connectors was a little bit tricky. But that was this milestone. Looking forward, the main project is more or less done. Thinking about modifications, I'm thinking potentially putting an Arduino in here and giving myself more control by using a PS2 controller instead of this 6-channel. And also potentially putting some EL wire in the front to make it look better.